Ladies and gentlemen, did you know the Republicans are running on cutting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid? Oh, yeah. Joe Biden keeps repeating this because Joe Biden is an old doddering fool, and that stuff used to work. Tell me, which Republican wants to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid? Do we have a name? Oh, they say Rick Scott because he put out a list that every program should be required to be re-upped every 5 years. Oh, he wants to cut Social Security. He didn't say that. He probably didn't need to include them. But shouldn't they be looked at for efficiencies? Shouldn't they be looked at so they can be saved? The trustees of every one of those programs has said they're heading for bankruptcy. They're going to collapse. Shouldn't we know about them? No. And the Democrats don't even want you to talk about them. So the minute you even raise it, not for cutting, but some kind of responsible review of government programs generally, now they say the Republicans are running on and want to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. They keep saying they're not. I can't think of a single person who's running on that because none are. None are. They're trying to scare the hell out of you because they don't want to talk about what really is scaring the hell out of you. Their policies, which have brought massive inflation, it's going to get worse. Massive interest rates, it's going to get worse. Massive increase in fuel, it's going to get worse. Shortages starting on heating oil and even electricity in New England, and that'll spread across the country, as you can imagine. When you cut off supply, you get less of something. It's the way it goes. Wide open borders. They don't want to discuss what's affecting you directly, what's going on in our government school classrooms, the indoctrination of your children, the grotesque exposure of your children to pornography and perversion, why their test scores are plummeting. The fact that the teachers' union is bought and paid for by the Democrat Party and vice versa. No. They want you to believe that the Republicans want to cut Social Security. Well, let me ask you a question. The elderly people out there who are getting Social Security checks, how's inflation doing with your check? It's cutting it, isn't it? He did that. Biden. So they are literally cutting, in the end, your Social Security. And they are literally cutting, in the end, your Medicare as your monthly premiums go up. Go ahead.
Democrats are building a better America for everyone, with an economy that grows from the bottom up and the middle out.
Bottom up and the middle out? Nobody knows what the hell he's talking about. Maybe an enema? I don't know. He is the enema of the state, you know. Go ahead.
Where everyone does well. Republicans are doubling down on their MAGA trickle-down economics.
MAGA trickle-down economics. He memorized that line. Probably took him 6 or 7 hours. MAGA trickle-down economics. Trickle-down, they tried that on Reagan. Reagan won 2 of the biggest massive elections in American history. And he created 25 million jobs and added to the economy GDP growth that equaled at the time the size of Germany. In his 8 years, look what this guy's done. We have a shrinking economy, inflation through the roof, and you know the rest. Go.
That benefits the very wealthy, failed the country before, and
now he's using his Marxist rhetoric. See, they want you angry at the very wealthy. What do the very wealthy have to do with anything? What have they done to anybody? What does that have to do with anything? He and his party have caused to decrease your quality of living and impoverishment for so many Americans. He's done that. Wealthy don't do it. Go ahead.
Fail it again if they would. Democrats are lowering your everyday costs like prescription drugs, healthcare premiums.
Democrats are lowering your everyday costs like prescription drugs? The cap that he's putting on prescription drugs doesn't apply till 2026. Even with the new math, that's 4 years from now. And that will not limit the price of drugs. It'll limit the availability of drugs, which means more shortages for people who have cancer, diabetes, heart disease, you name it, because people aren't going to produce things at a loss. Go ahead.
Bills and gas prices.
He's lowered energy bills and gas prices. What a pathologically sick man. What a liar. Go ahead.
Republicans have made...
Got his clapping seals, you notice.
Made it clear, at least they're being honest around this time. They're telling you exactly what they want to do if they win. They're going to increase everyday cost. Democrats are making sure the biggest corporations begin to pay not their fair share, but at least a bigger share than they've been paying. 15% is not a fair share, but it's a bigger share. Republicans will allow some of the biggest corporations to go back to paying zero.
Republicans will allow some of the biggest corporations to go back to paying zero. Wasn't he vice president for 8 years, working for a president for 8 years? Wasn't he in the Senate for 36 years? Why is it that almost every major international corporation has its headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware, his state? The hell does he think he's kidding? Go ahead.
Zero on federal taxes after having made $40 billion.
He doesn't want to talk about inflation. He doesn't want to talk about recession, food shortages, and all the rest. And one of the things the Democrats are doing now, including Biden, is they're saying, you elect the Republicans, it's going to get worse. Very clever. But you have me to tell you this. It's going to get worse. Period. This is just the beginning. Electing Republicans can't stop it. What it can stop is adding on to it with more programs that empower Washington and the bureaucracy and the politicians and weaken your status and ruin your lifestyle and that of your family. You didn't have any of this 2 years ago. And so I will end tonight's show with the thing that Reagan said when he was running, with a little bit of modification. It's a simple thing when you go to vote, and vote early if your state allows it, please. Are you better off today than you were 2 years ago? Are you better off today than you were 2 years ago? Is there more baby formula? Are interest rates lower? Is the economy bustling along? Is the border secure? Are you better off today than you were 2 years ago? How about the murder rate and the rape rate? How about the open borders? You better off today than you were 2 years ago? Now, any honest person, regardless of party affiliation, any honest person would say no. Things are much more miserable today than they were 2 years ago. How about the state of our government? The FBI, the Department of Justice. Are they conducting themselves better today than they were in the past? Obviously not. How about the strength of local police? Are our local police respected more today and supported more today and funded more today, given the crime in the streets, than they were in the recent past? Obviously no. Are more criminals being let out the back door, supposed bail reform, cashless bail, than were several years ago? Obviously yes. How about our classrooms? Are your kids getting a better education today than they were getting just a short while ago? Obviously no, and the test scores prove it. How about their exposure to what is pornography and sexual perversion? God knows if you did that in your home today, you'd be arrested and you'd lose your children. But if you do it under the cover of the teachers' union in the government schools, it's okay. No, the country is unraveling. This is what you get from a Democrat Party that's been radicalized. This isn't the party of 50 years ago. It's the party of today. It embraces the Marxists that populate it and is pushing their agenda.
Want to see more Mark Levin? Go to LevinTV.com and subscribe now.